Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Friday
Apocryphal
Podcast. Your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and Podcast. And boy, do we have a show to do today.
God damn, guys.
We're reading Odes 29 through 33.
Yes, we are.
Eloquent as always.
Yep.
From the both of you.
I'm reading from the Old Testament Apocryphal by James H. Charlesworth, translated by James H. Charlesworth here.
I mean, obviously, that was our best introduction yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't. This incredibly narrow frame.
We
of time.
might be all out of God's titty milk. I feel like he was sufficiently milked.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we are getting into. Oh, are you ready, Ruben?
Well, I was born ready.
Oh, so your body is prepared.
My body is ready
for the virgin to enter into you.
Oh, jeez. You know,
have a good
time.
So
there's
this bleeped out book.
Yeah, this bleeped out book by Hillman, and he talks about how there were these cults of...
Wait. Hold on. How's this showing up on the thing?
Poorly, bleeped
out.
Poorly?
Just see the little statue.
Okay. Like black box.
Because the back seemed...
Back is fine.
Yeah.
Maybe because there's enough contrast.
Hillman's book, Hermaphrodites, Gynomorphs, and Jesus, right? He talks about how there were these cults where there were these young virginal girls, and they would be in charge of applying this medication to these alabasters, which I've talked to you about. But essentially, this was a pegging device.
That is the idea.
That is the idea. We can't
of him.
I don't know if you guys.
I have seen artifacts of things that look like what he's talking about, but I can't verify anything because he doesn't cite sources.
Well, that single one. There's a twist to Elden Ring for anyone who thinks about those alabaster soldiers now when they're crouched over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep. So, hey, interesting connection there, eh? You're reading from Hermenia.
I am. So this is, of course, the Hermenia translation and commentary from Michael Lotka. It's not Lotka, but I'm gonna pronounce it as Lotka.
I bet he gets that all the time.
He probably does. He probably gets Lotkas all the time too. Maybe.
Did they get that DLC for Elden Ring yet? No, I'd be playing it.
Not if you didn't know about it.
I should know about it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Chris knows everything, Ruben.
No, I have approximate knowledge, which means it's just wrong a lot.
Why, yeah, how could you even make the suggestion that Chris could not have current, up-to-date information about any subject?
Wow.
I don't know. I must have slipped my tongue or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man, that is. I'm sorry, Christopher.
Weirdly, this weekend, I guess it's sort of my weekend, or right before this, I was in another state. I felt very out of touch for a while. I was like, I just don't feel in touch, and I'm not sure why. I was at a mall, and I was like, I don't, something about the mall makes me feel out of touch.
Well, the thing is,
maybe it's the 7 stores, because that was pretty.
Yeah, it's fucking dead. All malls are dead.
Oof. You know, there used to be a great mall in Brown Deer.
Good God, is it?
Yeah, and it
gone.
Just went away hard.
You know, Brown Deer used to have all sorts of great businesses.
It did.
TGI Fridays was pretty good there.
Look, you guys are getting the Milwaukee part of Milwaukee Atheists right now, right?
There is
right.
So I forget the name of that mall. Is it Northridge?
Yeah, Northridge Mall.
Yeah.
It's for sale right now. $2 million. You can buy it if you want to tear it down.
You're gonna have to want to tear it down because it's got trees growing in it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's got a whole bunch of stuff. And the thing is, I watched I was just really curious. I watched a video of someone going like in and like exploring everything.
Yeah, it's freaky.
It's
isn't it?
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like it is. Like I love watching like those abandoned building things.
It's an extremely unsafe environment.
Oh yeah,
you
entirely
ought not
unsafe.
go in there.
Like
you should wear a hard
windows
hat.
fall like it like from the top, right? Because the ceiling is
They had all those giant pyramid windows. Mm-hmm. Every single one of those tiles in the pyramid windows fell out at random points based off of
Yeah, they just do.
stuff.
Yeah.
Just stuff, yeah.
So
Crazy, though. And then now I swear there's, like, literally a whole forest in there, isn't there?
well, not quite a whole forest,
I
but
mean,
like
like,
there is like, you know, some
Plant life.
like on the outside, the plant life is crazy to where like
Yes.
it's all like vined over.
That's what I mean by that looks like
Yeah.
a forest in there.
Yeah,
I
but,
don't
like,
know that I got in.
inside. It's not as bad nearly.
Probably moldy mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like,
I wouldn't want to breathe in there.
Right. Yeah.
geez, okay, hard.
I don't
hard
wanna breathe.
hats and
Gas
gas
masks.
masks. Now we're just thinking full hazmat crew.
Yeah, we're going like
Right.
Fallout here.
Probably just honestly, probably a mask would just do. Some gloves, probably, but like the
Power armor.
Power armor.
power armor. Yep,
Yep.
that
You're escalating to power armor.
is
Yep.
necessary. Yeah,
Yep.
but either way, I feel like we'd have a good time exploring in there.
I feel like we would get in a lot of trouble.
That's
if
why I
we
would say,
posted
like,
a video
you could
of
do it
us exploring
officially.
in there.
You know, they still have security guards over there.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's still an owned property by some people.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Technically,
I
right?
think there's something about the size of the property. This is true of any major industry that they have to legally own at least some on staff security. Like, I've heard about that for people who own like massive warehouse districts. They're like, yep, I have to have security. It's illegal not to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. But either way,
You know,
we got some odes to
Yep.
read today.
we got the Odes. Ode 29. Let me tell you about this ode here.
Is this the long one for today?
I'm not
No.
sure.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. There aren't really long ones today.
All right.
There's not like more than a page. Ode 29. The Lord is my hope. I shall not be ashamed in him. For according to his praise he made me, and according to his grace, even so he gave to me.
Yeah, according to his glory, he made me.
Yes, there are a couple. It could also be goodness or kindness.
All right, interesting.
And according to his mercies, he raised me. And according to his great honor, he lifted me up. And he caused me to ascend from the depths of Sheol. And from the mouth of death, he drew me.
Oh, this is cool. Caused me to ascend from the depths of Sheol. Or this reminds me of Jonah.
yeah.
You remember when Jonah goes down? Like he describes himself as being like at the gates of he's not actually at the gates of the underworld.
Yeah.
But like he describes himself that way, and how he was drawn from that, right? So this section here that's verse 4, really reminds me of that description in Jonah, and
Yeah.
I forget like the chapter, maybe it was Jonah 3 or something like that.
Can you pull up Psalm 71?
Psalm 71.
I have Psalm 31, and it's cited at the beginning here. In you, O Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Deliver me in your righteousness. Right? This opens very similarly to Ode 29. The
Oh,
Lord
yeah.
is my hope. I shall not be ashamed in him.
Which psalm did you just read?
That was Psalm 31.
Oh,
but
yeah. Well,
71.
That's right. Because, okay, so 71, yeah. In you, O Lord, do I take refuge. Let me never be put to shame. That's because there was a section of Psalms that are the Elohistic Psalms.
Mm-hmm.
The whole bunch of them were essentially copied, but just the name of God replaced.
Yes.
That's why we have, Psalm 14.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's the same as Psalm 53, I think, or part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that's repeated. So, really interesting stuff there. Didn't think we'd talk about that today.
No.
Yeah, the Elohistic Psalter.
Yeah. So maybe this follows some trends that the Elohist would follow. I don't know.
Well, the thing is,
They definitely read that material, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. But I would say that at least from the phrasing, it seems a hell of a lot closer to Jonah to me.
Mm-hmm.
But It
The
seems
ascending
here-
from the depths of Sheol.
Yeah.
So what resurrection accounts do we have? We have
Are you talking about in the Old Testament or
both. So obviously we have Lazarus, we have Jesus' resurrection accounts.
well, if you want, they're not really resurrections, but like you could also maybe include like Moses and Elijah, right? Because they show up at the Transfiguration.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't there some necromancy that gets performed too at some other points?
Yes,
Yeah,
Saul.
Not Saul.
No.
Samuel.
Samuel gets brought back up.
There you go.
Samuel gets brought back up.
There's also the case of there's the widow's son, both at Nain in the New Testament, right, and at I forget where it is in the Old Testament, but I think Elijah or Elisha raised one up from the dead. Maybe there's another kid in there too. So there are a few kind of resurrection
Who was
accounts.
the guy that was walking around kind of in tandem with Jesus that was also doing things?
Oh, were you thinking of John the Baptist?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think we have I don't think it listed as him as having.
I do believe it's a
He was the guy who baptized Jesus.
Hmm.
Or do you mean somebody else?
I don't know. I just remember that there was another. During the book, in the reading, there was a contemporary to Jesus, and Jesus just gave him a nice nod, said, "Keep doing your good work" or whatever at one point, and they walked away. I don't remember what that guy. Do you know what I'm talking about? But they talked about his works before they met up.
Right, yeah.
And
so
then he was that was it. That was the only
I
mention
remember
of it.
there being some rando magician,
Simon
Basically-
Magus.
Simon Magus, yeah.
I think that was not what I was
But,
talking
yeah,
about.
okay,
Simon
so I-
Magus was a charlatan.
No, Ryan, shut the fuck up. Fucking Brian. No, yeah, I'm not sure.
Look, this is about to get more interesting already.
Okay.
He caused me to
According to the
ascend
life of
from
Brian.
the depths of Sheol, and from the mouth of death he drew me.
Mhm.
And I humbled my enemies, and he justified me by his grace, for I believed in the Lord's Messiah, and considered that he is the Lord. Right.
So yeah, and I humbled my enemies, and he, or the Most High Lord, justified me by his grace, for I believed in the Messiah. Yeah, anointed one of the Lord. And it seemed to me, that I saw that he's the Lord.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, it's definitely Christian. It
Yeah.
postdates Christianity.
Yeah. There's definitely like enough references here to
Are they like taking on I don't know anything about resurrection accounts post Jesus among early Christians.
Oh yeah.
Does that I don't think it happens.
wait,
What-
hold on. Because this is like
He caused me to ascend
out
from
to
the
Enoch.
depths of Sheol.
right.
That's a resurrection account.
Well,
I believed in the
yes,
Lord's Messiah and considered that he is Lord. So there's
that
all
someone else was resurrected. Like this is from someone's perspective,
yeah,
from someone who's been resurrected.
he caused me to ascend from the depths of Sheol. I don't know of any other early Christian post-Jesus resurrection account.
Like other people, right?
Yeah, other people within like the time frame of the first century or so.
I mean, aside from Lazarus,
And that was prior, right?
well, yeah, that would have been before that. Yeah, I'm not sure. That is interesting, though.
So maybe it's not a literal resurrection.
Right,
that
that's
they're
why I'm
referring to.
thinking like if this has to do with kind of coming back from for the same way that Jonah did,
Mhm.
then it would make sense.
But if it's Christian in nature, then it could be that by being granted eternal life through the grace of the Lord, which
Right, yeah.
seems to be what they're suggesting, according to his grace, he gave it to me. According to his mercies, he raised me up. According to his great honor, he lifted me up, right? It seems like if they're referring to like a figurative death or like the death that they would have experienced if they were not granted eternal life.
Right, yeah. I'm checking the commentary right now for anything like that, like anything that even addresses that. But I see where you're coming from. Man, so much of this is like just kind of translation notes, essentially, which does have its place, but we're looking for something else. Because the redeemed speaker believed in the Messiah and anointing one of the Lord, he was justified and was able to humble his foes. Although the redeemed Redeemer, identical with the Kurios Christos, so with Lord Christ, Lord Messiah, has himself been justified and can even be linked to faith. Let's see. Yeah, the first person statement of 6a can only be attributed to the Messianic Redeemer and Son. If there was a credible Christian, Gnostic, or Jewish tradition that before his exaltation in dogma and kerygma he had believed in hope in a Christos Kuriou, so Messiah of the Lord, who was distinct from all possible false Christs, the sources... it says so pseudo-Christs. The sources, however, offer no direct or indirect support of this supposition. So here in the mouth of the non-Messianic speaker, the Christian, quote, title Christ and Lord is clearly seen amalgamating with the language of the Septuagint and the Kurios religion, which in its milieu superseded the Yahweh religion. So at this early point, I guess he is calling it the Lord religion, but the Greek one, the Greek version for it.
So, April, I think that we're talking a bodily resurrection because the Odes generally have had a very, physiological focus. We were pointing this out last time, how they use a lot of body imagery all the time.
They do, but remember the context in which they're using it.
Yeah.
That this is just kind of like, it's what's that really famous analogy? The cave one.
Oh, the allegory of
Allegory of the cave.
Yes, allegory of the cave. Yeah. So this is like not, because it's like this text is bordering on Gnostic. Like it's not quite Gnostic, but it's right there at the precipice.
Yes.
So like in that kind of context,
Gnostic light.
Remember, if the understanding of the deeps of Sheol and the mouth of death are like understood as darkness or something, then it makes sense. And I think there was I saw a textual note here that kind of included the note on darkness potentially.
Well, so this author, he capitalizes death here, which makes me think he did that for a reason.
Well, I mean, the word there is just death, thanatos, and that can mean death both as the character and death as just you're dead now. The ability to die.
That's because the character is just like the symbolic representation of the ability to die.
Right, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough call, honestly.
It is. Maybe we'll see more
There's
context.
more on it, yeah.
Yes. And he declared to me his signs, and he led me by his light. There's a footnote here. One of the manuscripts says he declared to him his signs instead of he declared to me his signs. So this would be a continuation of speaking about the Messiah. But here it's not. And he gave me the scepter of his power, that I might subdue the thoughts of the Gentiles and humble the strength of the mighty. What?
So
Check Psalm.
Hold on. What the strength of the mighty? What verse did you just finish?
I just finished verse 8, but
Oh, okay.
here,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up
Give me
this
the rod of his
psalm.
power, that I might subdue the thoughts of the peoples and to humble the tyranny of the mighty. The tyranny of the mighty. There, Nate. Okay. But it looks like the translation here is even difficult because the translation of the Syriac term is, I guess, very contested. They have overlapping areas of meaning.
So Psalm 110, verses 2 through 3. The Lord will extend your mighty scepter from Zion. You will rule in the midst of your enemies. Your troops will be willing on your day of battle, arrayed in holy majesty. From the womb of the dawn, you will receive the dew of your youth.
Oh, there's also a... oh, man, there's so much. I mean, a lot of this is just like an analysis of, honestly, the Syriac or like a variety of other languages that I don't know. But it seems like there's a suggestion here that the possible allusion to the wars in Revelation inverts matters so that the speaking I is found on God's side. The armament, however, is not swords and weapons, but the melta of the Lord and the Most High, which on this earth is found only in human language. The parallelism between the term word and those denoting power in 8 and 9 shows that the emphasis is on the dynamic and soteriological, not the noetic.
That I might subdue the thoughts of the Gentiles and humble the strength of the mighty, to make war by his word, and to take victory by his power. And the Lord overthrew my enemy by his word, and he became like dust, which a breeze carries off. And I gave praise to the Most High, because he has magnified his servant and the son of his maidservant. Hallelujah.
You know, honestly, this seems like, I don't know if maybe two Odes were stuck together here or what, but this does seem like it was two different thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like this Thanksgiving psalm, basically.
Yeah.
And then there is the justification for that Thanksgiving psalm, which is belief in the Lord's Messiah. And then there's like a wartime psalm that...
yeah, it doesn't seem quite
and then
connected.
Because he has magnified his servant and the son of his maidservant, that seems like it's returning to the messianic ideas that are in the middle, right? But usually if you have a bookend, that's going to be something at the beginning that gets referenced at the end.
Right, but we didn't have that reference.
Yeah, we didn't have that at the beginning here. So if it is two psalms, maybe it started around verse 6.
Yeah, like there's these then the usage of these epithets here at the end don't quite make, like, some of them don't make sense in context, right? So like, I gave praise to the Most High, that was used throughout, because he made great his servant, so in this case it'd probably be Jesus, right? And the son of his handmaid. Like, yes, while that is in fact the son of his handmaid, like, what is, I guess, the...
So I'm going to ask
within
you
this
to
text.
pull up Luke 1:38 while I pull up a psalm.
Okay. All right, Luke 138, back to the New Testament. Here we are.
Yep.
Luke 1, if I can actually use my fucking hands properly, that'd work. Said 128?
1:38.
38. All right. Luke 1:38. And Mary said, "Behold, I am the servant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." And the angel departed from her.
And Psalm 16, verse 16, O Lord, truly I am your servant. I am your servant, the son of your maidservant. You have freed me from my chains.
I see. Okay. Wait,
and Psalm 116 continues on, I will sacrifice a thank offering to you and call on the name of the Lord. I will fulfill my vows.
Interesting that was in a psalm.
Yeah. So, like, here we have a Thanksgiving psalm that includes this son of your maidservant terminology.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to Ode 30.
Ray.
Fill for yourselves water from the living spring of the Lord, because it has been opened for you. Pull up. Ooh.
Oh, wait, didn't we cover something like this last week?
No. Pull up Revelation 21:6. And while you're doing that, I'm going to pull up First Enoch.
All right, Revelation 21:6. That's the last chapter, the second to last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Second to last chapter, 21:6. And he said to me, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give from the spring of the water of life without payment. No, here's the thing. That kind of spring imagery was certainly used before. It was even like in Old Testament texts.
But I want to point out all of chapter 48 of First Enoch, right? I'm not going to read the whole thing, but... And in that place, I saw the fountain of righteousness, which
maybe
was
April,
inexhaustible.
maybe Yahweh did say that one.
And around it were many fountains of wisdom, and all the thirsty drank from them, and were filled with wisdom, and their dwellings were with the righteous and holy and elect. And at that hour, that Son of Man was named, in the presence of the Lord of spirits, and his name before the head of days. Yea, before the sun and the signs were created, before the stars of the heaven were made, his name was named before the Lord of spirits. He shall be made a staff to the righteous, whereon they stay themselves and not fall, and so on and so on. All who dwell on earth shall fall down and worship him. And it concludes with, and I will give them over into the hands of mine elect, as straw in the fire, so they shall burn before the face of the holy, as lead in the water, so that they shall sink before the face of the before the righteous, and no trace of them shall be any more found. And on the day of their affliction there shall be rest on the earth, and before them they shall fall and not strike again. There shall be no one to take them with his hands and raise them, for they have denied the Lord of spirits and his anointed. The name of the Lord of spirits be blessed, which is essentially hallelujah. Okay, so maybe they're following that to some extent, because
it does seem like there is some other potential references.
Could be.
So let's see here.
Well, let me add a couple more verses here from the Ode. Fill for yourselves water from the living springs of the Lord, because it has been opened for you. And come, all you thirsty, and take a drink, and rest beside the spring of the Lord, because it is pleasing and sparkling, and perpetually pleases the self. For more refreshing is its water than honey, and the honeycomb of bees is not to be compared with it, because it flowed from the lips of the Lord, and it named from the heart of the Lord.
Oh, so now we have both milk and honey.
Right.
We have milk, we have honey, we have
fresh water
too.
Yeah, we have, and I think this is a reference to First Enoch, because we have a reference to the spring, we have a reference to all the thirsty coming to drink from it, we have a reference to one being named by the Lord, just as we have in the First Enoch, chapter 48.
Yeah, this is again also, what were we calling all this stuff? Very borderline something?
Borderline Gnostic.
It's borderline Gnostic,
This is super. Again, borderline Gnostic right here with the imagery of the fountain of knowledge in some ways, and like the good. Didn't they make an analogy between all this stuff and like wisdom at some point too? And goodness.
I feel like they did it in another text.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's Gnostic for sure, though.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Well, definitely later, yeah. Well, at least for the spring of like wisdom stuff, I kind of
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm. And it came boundless and invisible. And until it was set in the middle, they knew it not. Set in the
Okay,
middle.
so this is kind of the same idea of the word being kind of given to people,
Oh,
and a whole bunch of
shit.
people didn't
Is
notice it.
JN John or Jonah?
Honestly, gonna be both. Just go with John.
John 1:26.
Okay. So John 1:26.
And I guess I'll find Jonah. 1:26.
I'm pretty sure it's John, but it could be Jonah. Yeah. John 1:26. John answered them, I baptize you with water, but among you stands one you do not know. Even he who comes after me, the strap of whose sandal I am not worthy to untie. Yeah, it's John. Yeah. So, yeah, they don't know he's there. But the thing is, this theme was also in the Odes of Solomon too.
Jonah's so short.
It is. It's
I
like
think
what, 3 or
there's,
4
like,
chapters?
Yeah, I think there's a rabbit ear that made me skip it.
Yeah.
Here it is. So Jonah 1.
Talks about.
Is it about water?
What was it? Jonah
Was it 126?
126. It doesn't have 26 verses. Okay.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Also, there's a lot of really cool stuff about Jonah. Like when we were going over it, there was. It could be a comedy. It is genuinely a very funny work. It's like an entire. I don't know. Like they're making fun of Jonah's life or some shit.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yep.
He just, he's all mad that he can't convert people, and then they throw him off the fucking boat, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you," but then God makes sure everyone is converted, and he's like goes strolling back into town like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you now. I'm gonna make sure you're all doomed." And God's like, "Oh no, they're fine. Don't worry about it." Like all that for nothing.
Yep.
Yep.
The goose chase.
Yeah, there were a couple texts that have potential connections here, although Lutke doesn't exactly see it. But yeah, so in 1QH 16 4 through 24, it is the community that is portrayed as God's marvelous plantation, although the terms watercourse, living waters, and wellspring of life occur, and the comparison quoted in Barnabas 11:2 between kurios and let's see here, pege hudatos zoes, so something about something of life. The fountain of the water of life is not relevant here either.
Yay.
Because Ode 30 speaks of the spring of the Lord. Well, I don't know. Like you could have, I guess you would need it to be the Lord to be in a genitive, but whatever. This raises the question whether the Lord is the Christian Jewish God or the Kurios Christos in the early Christian or the Gnostic Christian sense. Mm-hmm. If the latter were true, it would not be possible to follow Harnack in accepting that, quote, our ode need not be a Christian one. No, it's a Christian one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And in that case, the speaker of this Christian ode could not be the redeeming Messiah. Mm. No, I mean, the thing is, this ode is very clearly Christian, I think. There's enough references here. In fact, it goes on here. To reference some other text as well.
Oh,
but
30?
But if
I don't know about that.
No. I'm talking about the work in general.
Oh yeah, the odes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if, as is more likely, this metaphorical spring is God's, the term could still, in a Christian interpretation, stand for the Messiah. The speaker, the audience, and those receiving the benediction, as well as users and readers of this ode would perceive an allusion to the Johannine Jesus, who never in his ego eimi, so I am, discourses, identifies himself as a pege, which would be a fountain. Yeah, fountain. But does reveal himself as the Messiah and also as the giver of living water. Well, I guess, yeah, living water works. The living water that Jesus gives is the gift that transmits the eternal life.
Mhm. Okay. We're just going to end this psalm then.
Yeah,
This ode. Blessed are they who have drunk from it and have rested by it. Hallelujah. That's the end of that.
Oh, there's a whole section here about honey and milk in the Odes of Solomon.
Oh, God.
But it's actually not that long. Yeah, even today, one may ask about. So I'm going to skip his introduction here. Much more has been written with less humor about this proverbial formulation.
You should drink some water.
I should. Yeah, you're right. The connection between milk and honey in the twofold comparison at the beginning of the Ode 40 is much looser. God, where do they talk about God's tits? Here we go. Okay. The terms honey, honeycomb, bee, used in describing the metaphorical spring in 34 will be discussed. Oh, okay. At the end, all other passages use milk and also to milk and breasts and bosom metaphorically. Are we sure about that?
Look, I want to ask, to what degree do we think there is unity in the Odes of Solomon?
Well,
like is this,
the author of Ode 19 was a hell of a lot funnier.
Yeah, these are clearly different authors. Like they're obviously different authors. They talk totally differently about different things. They just end with hallelujah, right? Like, I don't know if the author of Ode 30 endorses the ideas about the milk in Ode.
Right, yeah.
Right? And if they don't, then I am to interpret Ode 30 differently.
Right.
Right? But if they do accept, like, the milk from the breasts of God thing, then I am to
Well, you could say, like, if he's living water.
Right, but if you remember
Something that's
the milk,
life-giving.
the milk from God's breasts was supposed to be His grace, right? His breasts were filled with grace, and it was
it grace?
Yeah, it was grace in Charlesworth's translation.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it was milked out and given to the people without their knowledge.
Right.
So if we interpret it that way, then the milk here is a reference to the grace of the Lord. But if we don't interpret it that way, if we think of it as a more separated piece of the Odes of Solomon, like if we don't have as strong of an association between odes, then it would be like an Old Testament reference to the
Oh, yeah. Look, well, the
milk
thing
and
is,
honey.
looks like it was just because it says that the milk was offered to me and I drank it in the sweetness of the Lord's kindness. The Son is the cup, and he who was milked the Father, and the one who milked him the Spirit of holiness. Yeah, his breasts were full. It's not desirable that his milk should be poured out or discharged for no reason. The Spirit of holiness opened his bosom and mixed the milk of the two.
Guys, I'm low on milk. Can we
Do you want some milk? Go.
like move
I
past
got
that?
Daddy's juice for
Jesus.
you. You want Daddy's
Or-
juice?
No, God milk, please.
No. Oh man.
Imagine you go to the supermarket, right? There's skim
This
God,
God
milk. Yeah. There's 2%.
There's
Man, I only came here for whole God milk.
whole
Yeah.
God milk. Oh, jeez, that's thick.
It's bad for your heart.
Oh, but it tastes so good.
Mm.
Not drinkable.
Anyways, why don't you do
Yeah, I don't see the
31
thing
and
about.
32?
I don't see anything about the grace of it though. Like this seems to be revealing, the, how great Jesus is, right?
Mhm.
So not
Here,
sure.
You can do 31 and 32. I'll read the commentary.
Oh, will you?
Yeah.
There you go. So 31.
Oh boy. Oh man, they have the Syriac right here. That's
Yeah, you gonna read that Syriac? Wow, that's incredible.
I don't know what
probably
Syriac
racist
sounds like.
Racist.
Is that
Fucking probably.
against? I mean, if Syriac does sound kind of like that, then I guess it would be.
Oh my god.
But I don't think it does.
No. You said something
I
very
don't-
racist in
yeah,
Syriac.
that was so horrible.
Oh yeah, that like the Syriac version of some slur.
Right, yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Any Syriac Christians who watch this will be
Offended.
yes, very offended.
Yeah.
I don't even think you said it right. Okay, that's especially offensive. Okay.
Mhm.
So Ode 31. Chasms vanished before the Lord, and darkness was destroyed by his appearance. Yeah, chasms vanished. All right. Sure. So he's light. Oh, and this next part, I saw this yesterday, and I was like, you know what? This really solidifies it was written in Greek for me. Error erred and perished on account of him, and contempt received no path, for it was submerged by the truth of the Lord. Now, this is very much, what was... God, I forget. Was it the gospel of truth? It was the gospel of truth, by the way. I went back and checked where we got error.
Mm-hmm.
It was the gospel of truth.
Yes, the
Yeah.
gospel of truth isn't. Error is in there.
Yeah. And the whole. I forget which one has I am error. But
Probably Enoch or one of the.
no, it wasn't Enoch.
No, it was the whole list of devils things, right? Or angels.
It was
something.
in one of the Gnostic works.
One of the Gnostic works.
It could have been in on the creation of the world.
Yeah. Oh, probably
or,
that.
Yeah, one of the other ones, the Gospel of Peter, potentially.
It's always Enoch, lol.
Yeah.
That's why we keep shutting him out.
So either way, yeah, the God's appearance makes all that stuff vanish, or submerged, to keep with that flood imagery.
Mhm.
He opened his mouth and spoke grace and joy, and recited a new chant to his name. Does he get to make up his own chants?
Sure. Don't you?
Not for okay. If I was going to make
Just make one up.
okay, but
I
this
think
is
you get to do that.
if he's reciting a new chant to his name, so he's like making songs of praise for himself.
He's like a bard. He's doing it on the fly.
But for himself,
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
that's just conceited.
Well, that's why I'm the best,
Okay,
and you're
yeah.
not.
No, that's just because you're not in the know.
True, yeah. Then he raised his voice oh wait, hold on. Then he raised his voice towards the Most High, and offered to him those that had become sons through him.
Now I got
Now that's interesting.
an excursus for you.
What is it?
Excursus, mouth and voice in the Odes of Solomon. In all the metaphors and theological anthropomorphisms, the term puma, which occurs 17 times and corresponds to some Greek shit. I don't know. What does that say?
Tostoma?
Tostoma
Yeah. No,
is
it's
used in its
definition.
literal sense. This is true even where it's used of the beaks of doves in 28:1b, or where, in parallel to the realm of the dead, death is provided with the maw or gullet of a monster. See Ode 29, right? The term quala occurs only 8 times in all but one case, 7:17c, is the equivalence of an ambiguous
Stoma's mouth.
term. What's this?
Hefone. That's
Hefone.
is that the ear or something?
The meaning of which can derive from
I'm not sure.
voice into
Voice.
sound or tone in one
Oh yeah,
direction.
sound would make sense. Yeah, phone.
Or call in another direction, except for the one plural use, quala, is not used in a hymnic,
Wait, did I read that
liturgical, or musical sense.
Okay, no, I just spelled it wrong in here. Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, what?
The statements of the creation in 724a could be taken to mean that the Most High Lord endowed his creatures with speech. However, in 724b, it could be translated by mouth. To open, the verb that's commonly used about this part of the body is poetically transferred to the voice of the mouth. Elsewhere, it's the mouth that's opened, or which the speaker or the subject of the narrative opens. These statements are often juxtaposed with the term malel, since speaking is considered the most typical, though not the most beautiful or even always the most intelligent, action of the mouth. The divine spirit may also use an opened mouth as a speaking tube, as in 16:5a. Just as God the Lord directed his mouth of the redeemed Redeemer by his word in 10:1a, the Redeemer will speak by the mouths of his supporters in 42:6b. The mouth can let flow not only words, but also the truth, as in 12:2b. The statements about the mouth of God himself, in which there is neither falsehood nor death, as in 18:8a, and the speaking mouth of the Most High, derived from Sirach 24:3, have at their apex, quote, because the mouth of the Lord is the true word and the gate of his light, 12:3b through c. All that can be said of this difficult passage, 21:8 through 9, is that the heart and lips belong to the domain of the term mouth. The same can be said of the domain of voice. This brings us to the final grouping of passages containing the term quala, which is regularly combined with the verb to hear. The voice of the mouth has already been discussed. The dove's voice or cooing sound has also been mentioned. Who it was that in 33:3a stood on a high peak and let loose his voice, that is, cried out or shouted, will be considered in its place. It may be worth asking, especially about the metaphorical expression in 37:2b, but also about hearing the voice of the believers, as in 42:19a, whether quala is meant for call or cry. On the other hand, the voice in 37:1b and 31:4a is itself lifted up to the Most High by, in the one case, the speaking I, and in the other, the Lord.
Okay, hold on. I think I got it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, hear me out. I'm gonna go through verse 5.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna give you some points that you might want to consider.
Yes.
So, so after it says, what the Lord has vanquished with his light, right?
Mm-hmm.
It goes on to say, then he raised his voice toward the Most High and offered to him those that had become sons through him. And his face was justified because thus his holy Father had given to him. So we have the Lord. If we have Lord always meaning Jesus, like the Son,
Mm-hmm.
even in the Gnostic Trinity, that works. So if we have the Lord always being referred to as Jesus, so then if we look back, and I know we're not, but if we assumed one author, then we would have a different understanding of much of this text, because then we're talking about, so I think in that commentary even, it mentions that, listen, there's a difference between this this kind of Hellenistic form of this Gnostic Jesus, right?
Yes.
Where you have this, where he calls it Kurios Christian, and versus the kind of more mainstream Christianity now, with more of a Trinitarian one. This is kind of closer to the Gnostic version, like the kind of Jesus that they believe in. So,
yes,
in this sense, you have the Lord that brings people to the Most High, but the Most High, or the Holy Father, right, is the one that just does the justifying.
Mm-hmm.
So then, it kind of continues here. Do you remember how in Charlesworth's work, there were sections where it said Christ speaks?
Yes.
Except they're not actually in the text. They're just kind of his assumptions.
And he adds that in here?
Yes, he adds that in here. But in this case, I'm now kind of, well, we'll see what he says. But I can at least see the precedence for that. I don't know about Christ necessarily, but because that is a different concept, and I don't think we have
Lutka says that it's clear that the speaker of 6 through
Messiah
13 is meant to be Christ.
Yeah. So for this one, sure. But yeah, it is interesting. Like once we get different usages of Messiah here and there. Not in this one, it seems. But either way, makes sense if he's a speaker here. Come forth, you who have been afflicted, and receive joy, and possess yourselves through grace, and take unto you immortal life. And they condemned me when I stood up, me who had not been condemned.
As an allusion to the passion narrative.
Yeah. Then they divided my spoil, though nothing was owed them. That's also an allusion to the passion narrative. But the allusion in the passion narrative is an allusion to a psalm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
But I endured and held my peace and was silent, that I might not be disturbed by them. But I stood undisturbed like a solid rock, which is continuously pounded by columns of waves and endures. I don't think he did.
No, he begged God not to make it happen.
Well, that was in the beginning, right? And
then he suffered and cried out for help.
Yeah, like he was wailing and
Yeah, he wasn't having a good time. I get it. They want to glorify their Lord, right? But it's not how the story goes, guys.
Right. So they just kind of, took some creative liberties there on that one. Or maybe, potentially, if there was one that portrays Jesus' suffering as less, maybe they were using that one. Either way. But either way, the whole him suffering thing was kind of a big point, right?
Yes, it was.
So that was like without the suffering, do you even get the redemption?
Sure.
That's an entirely different theological question. It's fun. It's a fun one to bring up with all your Christian friends.
Yeah.
So can God suffer? If God, to what extent does God suffer? How much does it count when it comes to redemption of sins? It's a very fun question.
Yes.
And I bore their bitterness because of humility, that I might save my nation and instruct it, and that I might not nullify the promises to the patriarchs to whom I was promised. That's funny. To whom I was promised for the salvation of their offspring. That's funny. To whom, I was promised to the patriarchs. That explains P-Town. Oh, my God. Yeah, promise to the patriarchs. Hallelujah.
Right.
That guy's not on your show anymore, is he?
No, he's not.
Long gone?
Yeah.
Oof.
Did you replace him with some more fundamentalist?
Eric said that he might be on this week.
Oh.
Good.
A useful, non-hostile person.
Right,
Excellent.
yeah. He's not a fucking dick, so.
Okay. So that there's a literary connection between 13a and Barnabas 5:7. Okay, they talk about Barnabas in here and how it kind of depends on the Odes. But
no, P-Town is not coming back. Eric, he's pen guy. Pen guy might be on tomorrow. Actually, that reminds me, I have to send Aaron his email. I sent him an email.
You're reading now. Do it later.
Oh, I'm not gonna send it to him right now, but I sent like, so Eric gave me his email. I sent that to Aram, but then Eric's like, oh, I can't get into that email anymore. Can you send him this one? I'm like, okay, sure. I guess I can do that. This man cannot technology.
Louse. I mean, he hands out pens.
Pens, yeah.
So he's got that down. That's technology.
Either way. On to Ode 32.
Yep.
Don't worry, Chris. You're going to like this one.
So Ode 32 is preserved in 2 Syriac manuscripts.
Maybe we've had a lot of those that are preserved in 2 Syriac manuscripts.
It's a didactic poem or a short hymn.
Yeah, you'll like it, Chris. To the blessed ones, the joy is from their heart, and light from him who dwells in them. And the word from the truth, who is self-originate. The word from the truth, who is whatever this is self-originating.
Yes.
Boy.
Which was her own self.
Yeah, he who is from himself.
Yep.
And at least one manuscript omits this. Yeah. So self-originating. There is a lot of okay, so that's very early. I don't know if it's Johannine or not, but I know it's very early. I think it is Johannine, right?
I don't know.
I would think so. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. That's in the beginning of John. So the word from the truth, who is so the truth is self-originated. Actually, I don't know about the syntax. Is there a note here on any of the syntax? I know it wouldn't be helpful.
Okay, so
because it's probably in Syriac,
so
untranslated.
Spita sidelines Ode 32 without discussion is out and out Jewish, and thus outdoes Harnack, who counts it among the main set of indeterminate odes. Dietrich's verdict is that our ode stands altogether in Old Testament territory, but Harris and Mingana stress the parallelism of the word from the truth with the true word, and conclude that the ode belongs to the group of wisdom odes or logos odes, and so does the one that immediately follows it.
Whoa.
They do not even consider whether the pronoun in 3b can refer to the truth who is self-originate. In 2, which I believe to be the case, Franzmann unnecessarily divides the central monocolon into 2a and b, and on this self-constructed basis finds herself forced to accept the reading of H. Her translation of 2b, who was from himself, is untenable, because dash is not a relative pronoun referring to some other Syriac term. Analogously, however, to her correct observation that either 3b or 3a through b may function as an indirect doxology if references to the truth, one could describe the first half of Ode 32 as an indirect benediction, which at its peak in the middle of 2 transforms into didactic statements on truth personified and ends doxologically. It is not actually necessary to interpret these last statements and the joy light word triad in a Gnostic sense, but this second shortest of the whole collection of odes does sound like a quarry for later Gnostic tracts. See for reference the Treatise on Resurrection, or the Tripartite Tractate on the Origin of the World, or the Gospel of the Egyptians.
Luckily, we read at least one of those.
Yes.
So interesting. I feel like this is very Johannine too.
Yeah.
So because he has been strengthened by the holy power of the Most High, and he is unshaken forever and ever. Hallelujah. So that is Chris's favorite ode because it's very short.
Oh, no. There were shorter.
There's one shorter one in the Odes of Solomon.
Oh,
Fair
yeah.
enough.
Yes.
Well, I think Chris's maybe was favorite was probably Ode 2 because it's missing.
Probably.
Yeah, good ode.
Yeah, good ode, that one.
Well, we switch off and...
I have a lot of commentary on ode 2.
I got a lot to say about nothing.
Ode 33, the final ode for the day.
This is where the virgin comes into you.
But again, grace was swift and repudiated the corrupter, and descended upon him to renounce him. And he caused utter destruction before him, and corrupted all his construction. And he stood on the peak of the summit, and cried aloud, from one end of the earth to the other. Then he drew to him all who obeyed him, for he did not appear as the evil one. However, the perfect virgin stood, who was preaching and summoning and saying, O you sons men, return, and you their daughters come, and abandon the ways of the corrupter, and approach me, and I will enter into you and bring you forth from destruction, and make you wise in the ways of truth. Be not corrupted, nor perish. Hear me and be saved, for I am proclaiming unto you the grace of God, and through me you will be saved and become blessed. I am your judge, and they who have put me on will not be rejected, but they will possess incorruption in the new world. My elect ones have walked with me, and my ways I shall make known to them who seek me, and I shall promise them in my name. Hallelujah.
So this is from the perfect virgin.
Yeah, this is from the perfect virgin. Is the perfect virgin here supposed to be Sophia?
I think it's supposed to be Grace.
Is it Grace? Yeah,
Yeah,
they do capitalize Grace here.
Yeah, at the very beginning, they're like, but Grace ran back and abandoned corruption, and she descended into him to bring him to naught, and he destroyed with destruction before him, he corrupted all of it, stood on the high peak, and he didn't seem like. So was this supposed to be like some purifying act, almost? This is
see for reference the fourth vision of the shepherd of Hermas.
Oh my God, do we have to?
No, we don't.
Which one was that? was it the mountains? Was it the
stones or the sticks?
Was it the stones or the sticks? Which one was it?
Oh man,
it's in reference to the perfect virgin.
Okay, well,
the women.
Oh, was it the women? Okay, yeah, it must be the women.
Yes.
The metaphorical idea. Oh, sorry.
Also the chair, which represents
which is both strength and weakness. Amazing.
Wonderful text.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that would be a good shirt. Sit down. You're both strong and weak.
Yeah. I
so
don't know. We'd have to think of something a little.
Yeah, something a little more clever.
Yeah,
but
I like your line of thinking though.
Yeah.
So like the corrupter here. The corrupter is literally he who is from himself and emits from. You can see John 1 through 18 for something, but like the corrupter here descends. He renounces the creator.
Well, let's see. He already has descended.
Yeah. Yeah, and he causes all this destruction, but he tricks people into following him.
Right.
For he doesn't appear as the evil one. And then Grace appears and stands against him. And
well, what it seems like.
And she calls out to, "O you sons of men, and you their daughters." So all of the people, because they have like a bimodal conception of gender.
So that she descended into him to bring him to naught. So it looks like they're cohorts.
And I will enter into you and bring you forth from destruction and make you wise in the ways of truth. Yes. So Grace is able to enter into the people and give them wisdom.
Yeah. Something like that. I don't know. This is really weird. So quite a few things here. The immediate introduction of the personified antagonists, Grace and corruption, is embedded in a mythological dynamic described by the use of 4 verbs of ascent and descent on the one part and abandoning and intending to annihilate on the other. I'm going to skip past the the textual stuff as much as I can. The metaphorical idea that Grace was in motion So it's found in the New Testament as well. In any case, grace personified, who must not be directly equated with Christ, disappeared in answer to the question whither did she run. The most one could say, considering the first verb of 1b is mythologically upwards, because she descended, right? So the running back of grace is made manifest dualistically in the second part of 1a. What she did was to leave the personified corruption. So that's what she did at first. Wait, so hold on. So was the corruption...
The corruptor is already there.
Wait, hold on. So hold on. Okay, hold on. Maybe I'm getting this. Maybe the corruptor, maybe corruption is just like this world, the earth.
No, the corruptor is error.
Well, sure, error, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, so grace was initially with error, and it was, so she ran back. She abandoned error. Maybe she thought error was doing a good job, but error was not.
Oh, error, come
and then
on.
without grace, error is around.
Mhm.
Well, no, error was destroyed at the beginning, right? With the
I
the
don't
Lord or
remember.
whatever.
Error came back because it erred harder.
No,
Remember,
error gets
error-
destroyed when there's
The light shows
perfect realization of the pleroma.
Oh, that's
Right.
not. Yeah, that's later.
That's the point of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
messianic figures, so that individuals can eliminate error from themselves, right? But at least that's how, what was it, the Gospel of Truth
Right, yeah.
talked about it, right? It's
True.
that in the judgment day, right? That's just when all error is extinguished.
Yeah. That's fair.
But obviously that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, the indication of the place to which one goes or comes from, for which Greek generally uses ace, can be expressed. Oh, yeah, whatever. Because it goes into Syriac, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So it looks like, in the context of 1a and b, the suffix of the preposition following the first verb in 1b, as well as the objective suffix of the last verb, refers to corruption and not to some figure such as Christ or Messiah, who has not been and will not be mentioned in the Ode. The descent of grace could be seen as a reworking of the foretelling of the Perusia in 1 Thessalonians. The Lord himself will descend from heaven, but without interpreting grace as a cryptic designation of our Lord to explain the change in subject from stanza 1 and 2. Given the structure of stanza 1 and the general content of Ode 33, it is not possible to make a connection with 42:12 and to interpret corruption by reference to Psalm 15:10 in the Septuagint as Hades or the underworld. So katabaino, or going down, does not refer to Christ's descent into hell. The ultimate goal of the renewed descent by grace is described with the subordinating conjunction in Greek, hina, so that, and the imperfect of that corresponds. It's in Syriac, but corresponds to the Greek keno, as finally to render corruption void. Oh man, I wish there was more on this, because I feel like there's some mythological motifs that they're just missing out on. Like, honestly,
I think that the most interesting thing about this is the last three verses, right? If you flip to the last three verses, this is grace speaking.
right? Yeah,
And through me you will be saved and become blessed. I am your judge. They who have put me on will not be rejected, but they will possess incorruption in the new world. My elect ones have walked with me, and my ways I shall make known to them who seek me, and I shall promise them my name.
yeah. Grace here is shown as like some kind of redeeming force.
Yeah,
'Cause, I mean, that kind of is, right.
It's been in the
but
narratives.
but it's a direct personal redeeming force. It's not like I am showing you like God's promise, right? it says, I shall promise them in my name, right?
Right, yeah.
Um,
That's true.
so it's almost like grace here is given a special
Yeah,
level.
really special place, especially with calling a. Well, hold on. If
But if we have the Odes as a unity, then the grace is the milk. So,
fair enough.
There you go.
Now we know it was in God's tits.
yes.
Grace.
Grace milk.
Mm.
Here's the T-shirt.
No, I don't think Ruben specifically would like that T-shirt.
So we could have a T. Hold on. Give me a strap.
Thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
Here's
I
the
just pinned the T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That's
You
all
want-
I did.
thing. Okay, you want a mommy milkers T-shirt? Okay, but no, it has to be. Can it be daddy milkers because it's Yahweh?
Does it matter?
So
Listen, I don't know. I need some. What would it even look like other than just tits on a T-shirt? Because they have those and they're pretty bad, right? Like
Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
something like this.
So there's a G. Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, so you write God, but you have it shaped so like the G is one boob and the D is another boob.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
that could be a good T-shirt.
Yeah. So what do we put anything in the O or is it just an O, a tiny O?
I don't know. We can make it a belly button.
Oh, we could make it a belly button, but then
It would be awkward.
that would be horrible.
It's horrible.
That would be awful, actually.
I'm thinking. Oh, you could have like.
Like a little necklace.
A little necklace. Yeah, maybe.
Oh well. That's the show, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, but it does seem here that there is a good amount of influence from Proverbs as well. But
Yeah,
that's whatever. There's influence from everything.
it's what it is.
Yeah, just as grace personified left corruption is now necessary for men and women, not just now and then, but forever, to leave the ways of this dualistic opponent. There are multiple ways that you could actually interpret this. I feel
What?
like there is a right answer somewhere, but
Just read the last thing that Sumami posted right there.
fear of undoing my belly button by washing it too hard. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough.
I think it could happen to clones.
The clones, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now you know
that's
Mhm.
true.
whether you're real or not.
Yep.
Anyways, what a fear. But the thing is, I think getting a shirt that is based on Daddy's juice is
Jeez.
very important.
We'll figure it out. The idea Ruben had's all right.
So yeah, all the shilling, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon wishlist, Patreon.
All that stuff.
You know, we could be
Discord.
more upbeat about it.
Discord,
Hey
yes.
guys,
Yeah.
why don't you throw us some cash by hopping on to Patreon?
So why'd you give me a reason to live, chat?
Woo-wee.
Wow.
Well, boy, howdy. That's how we open this show.
Next time.
Yeah. Boy, howdy. Welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast. It'll be PP from now on.
Wow. Awful. So I think, that's the end of the show for today. And we will see you on
Friday.
Discord and
I
also
guess,
Friday.
on
Got him.
Discord.
You
But
got
I'll
him.
see you on Discord. There's the secret chill.
Wow.
All right.